She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy Gaspacho.
Forbes can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Advice, did you know that Arsenal is shy?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the talkies. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm gonna comment on that.
What's up, y'all? Mike from Footy with the Boys here with Nick today. Another two-man show. Flags is over in South Korea, working on his K-pop. Might be leaving us for a different group. North Korea.
That's crazy. That's crazy that they took Klinsmann and Flags. That's like, those are the two pillars of U.S. men's national team football.
They are. And if I had to pick which one I'd rather have at the moment, it's a tough decision. Sorry, Jarrett. All love. Today we got a good pod for you. Probably a short one, but we've got some good storylines. We're going through Euros round of 16 preview. All those games are over in the group stage. Now we'll do a Copa review, and we'll go over the USA versus Panama game that will be played tomorrow. First off, Nick, how are you?
Chilling, bro. Had a little like tonsillitis these past couple days, so I'm a bit in the mud. I'm just hopped up on antibiotics right now.
You know what?
But happy to be doing the pod. It's from Kissing Dudes.
Kissing Dudes. Footy with the Boys.
But no, we're chilling. We're doing good.
Good to hear it. I'm doing well as well in Chicago.
No one asked.
The heat has subsided a little bit, so not as miserable.
Thanks.
Let's get into it, eh? Let's start with Brazil versus Costa Rica. An absolute stinker of a match, unless you're a Costa Rican, because, damn, that's inspiring. Not really anybody probably gave them any hope or any chance of success in this matchup, me included. I don't know any of their players, really. Keylor Navas has stepped away from the team, and they're going against Brazil. Nick, did you watch this match? What were your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I dozed through it. There was some eyeballs, but not too much. If I'm being honest, we had it on a separate screen as we watched the Stanley Cup Finals. But yeah, dude, I mean, it was tough. Not really too many opportunities either. I know there was a goal put away that they took back, but that's really worrisome. I think if all of us had to pick before this tournament started, we would pick Costa Rica as the worst CONCACAF team heading into the tournament. I mean, maybe Jamaica just because they're such a shit show right now, but even them, I think, could still handle Costa Rica. So their only guy's Joel Campbell. Shout out to Arsenal legend. But I mean, it's not like he was putting in work or anything. Like it just was not good. A little scrappy affair. A lot of talk about how the pitches have been bad during the Copa America, and I think you can see that in this game too. It was pretty scrappy. Craziest thing I saw from this game was Neymar's reaction to Endrick getting subbed on. Do you see that? He was like, "What the hell is this guy doing on the pitch?" So, yikes! I feel like it's a camp divided at the moment. I don't know if there's really a leader there that can kind of corral the boys together, and I think it's kind of showing because it's a bit of a shit show at the moment for Brazil.
Absolute shit show. Cool to see Neymar in the stands supporting. Almost makes you think, should he be kind of incorporated in this team somehow? He's not going to play, obviously. He's hurt. But we see it with David Alaba in Austria. He's been kind of brought into the coaching staff, at least has his presence in camp, which is big when you have a big player like that. Brazil, really no leadership, no veterans. If they had a dude like Thiago Silva or Neymar just in this team for their presence or leadership alone, it seems like it could do something. I was really bored by this match. Holy crap, it was bad. I did the same thing, watched the hockey on the main screen, this game in the background. One storyline looked like Vinicius kind of got bodied in the box on a shoulder to shoulder. Could have been a pen. Anything in that?
I didn't think so. I mean, it was strong for sure, but I think it would have been weak to give it, especially because it was a scrappy game the whole game. These Copa America refs, I think, are doing a pretty good job of swallowing their whistle pretty often. Aside from that horrible pen that was given in the Colombia game, but what was overturned, so I'll get there. No corruption here. I didn't think it was. By the way, Vinicius, I mean, if it truly is Ballon d'Or, Vinicius or Jude, don't give it to anyone. Like what a disgrace of a just past month. I think both those guys are having. So it was a tough watch. It makes me think. It honestly gives less credit to the United States for drawing Brazil. If Costa Rica can do it, then maybe we should have been able to do it from the jump. Yeah, I don't know. I know Brazil had a lot of the possession and we're definitely controlling the play, but I didn't think they looked that dangerous. Costa Rica really packed it in. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm really worried if I'm a Brazil fan, and as a Colombian, I'm pretty confident that worst case scenario we get a draw in that final game, and if we take care of business against Costa Rica here, then that puts us through first. So, yeah, I don't know. Not too inspired by Brazil.
That's a good point. And in the context of the Group C teams, I think it makes that first place spot even more valuable, knowing that it's likely to be Brazil in second, who looks terrible. You would rather have them in the quarterfinals than Colombia at this moment. We'll get in that in a little bit when we talk about the U.S. But let's hop across the sea or the ocean, and let's go to the Euros round of 16. We got some matchups starting on Saturday, all the way through Tuesday. We'll start with Switzerland and Italy, which is the first game on Saturday at noon. Good matchup. I think this one's kind of hard to pick. I think each team has some strong suits, a couple of players who are really turning up this tournament, but neither are overly strong, in my opinion. Do you have a team here that edges out the other?
Yeah, I think this is the best game of the round of 16, if I'm being honest. There's some other good. I'm actually really excited for some of the games you're going to talk about, Spain and Georgia specifically. But I think Switzerland is always just this team that doesn't get the credit they deserve, and I think that kind of comes from their captain and their best player, Granit Xhaka, who doesn't get the credit that he deserves either. Up until this last year with the invincible Leverkusen side. So I don't know. I really like both of these teams. Italy, I like them a lot coming into it. That California center back is a stud. That run he made with 98th minute to get that assist that kind of helped them get squeezed through really was very impressive. And he's just a good player overall. You know, Italy's known for being a defensively stable kind of team. That's kind of their motto. That's still kind of their identity. I just don't know how good they are at it anymore. The midfield is a bit easy to run through, in my opinion. But Switzerland, on the other hand, did a phenomenal job of getting through that group. They pulled out a draw against Germany when I still think that Germany is the best team in this tournament. And so I really think that this could be, maybe on paper, Italy looks like the favorite, but if that's so, then I think I'm looking at an upset here because I like Switzerland's chances against Italy. And then if you tell me Switzerland has to play the winner of this next game we're going to talk about, could be a semifinal kind of year for the Swiss. So it's going to be very interesting. I got Switzerland squeaking it out 2-1. I don't know if you see it any different, Trace.
I kind of inclined to agree with you and pick for the Swiss because they weren't really favorited at all. People were talking about they might not get out of their group, but they had a huge run in the last Euros, and they were underdogs in that one. Could be reminiscent of that. I think we could see maybe an extra time in this game. I don't see a lot of goals going in. It's going to be a cagey game. And then PK Heroics, Jan Sommer versus Donnarumma. Who's the bigger keeper? Both those dudes are very hard to score against. This is a great one to watch, though. We'll move on to the next game, which you did talk about a little bit, and that is England-Slovakia. If I'm going in order. Is that correct? Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Slovakia, coming out of probably the group stage. I mean, they all shared points, came down to goal differential. Feel bad for Ukraine because they obviously have a great story and they fought their hearts out. Went down really bad first game, lost 3-1 to Romania, and then kind of recouped, had some solid performances. Slovakia, a couple of goals from Ivan Šranc, who is their main scorer at the moment, play very compact ball. Hard to score against. Martin Dubravka, the Newcastle keeper. A lot of these English guys are going to be familiar with them, and they can't score at the moment.
No, they cannot.
I need to see some changes in this lineup. I know that Southgate made the change with Gallagher and Trent in the midfield, but that's not really the changes we're talking about. I don't think bringing in Conor Gallagher is going to change it up all that much. He's not at that level, really at all. I think you need significant changes in the attacking three. We need to get rid of Foden on that left wing. It's obvious it's not working. People have been screaming about it all tournament. Will Southgate get away from that after playing him 3 times in a row? I don't really think he will. He thinks he's stuck to his guns. But for how bad England have been attacking so far, defensively, they've only let one in, and that was a piece of magic from Denmark, an absolute long shot, probably from damn near half field. They're hard to score against. Do you think England's defensive solidity with Declan Rice in front is going to be enough to kind of carry them deep in this tournament? They have a pretty easy path, at least to the semifinals, compared to the other side of the bracket.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard for me with England. It's so depressing watching them. It's so boring. They've had easily the 3 worst games of like any other team in this tournament and are somehow, through undefeated or whatever. But I mean, I get they won their group. I get they have a lot of talent. I have zero faith in this English side. That being said, I don't think Slovenia really has anything in attack. Like I can't name a single one of their forwards even after watching the group stages. So
Slovakia, brother.
yeah, Slovakia, sorry. Slovenia has Sesko. Shout out to Sesko. Is
Yes,
that right?
that's correct.
Slovakia. So they're Grenier in defense. He's a really good center back, obviously, has been for a while, but this one feels like some random England goal finds its way in, maybe a set piece, maybe a rebound, and a tap in somewhere. I don't know. Something like that. There has been a lot of talk. Ian Wright, Arsenal legend, comes out and says that Bukayo Saka should start at left back, which, I mean, he's been your most consistent threat the entire time. Like, if you want to make changes, how about we make changes to any of the other ones for the front three? I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty good about, let's toss Ollie Watkins out there instead of Harry Kane. Let's toss Ivan Toney out there instead of Harry Kane. Or for the love of God, just put Anthony Gordon on the left wing so that Harry Kane can have runners to play with. Like, that's when Harry Kane is at his best. He is at his best dropping in. It feels like Southgate like almost is just giving the reins to Jude. And after the first game where Jude played really well, like a lot of me included was like, that's the right call. It has not worked out so far. A lot of people are calling for a Declan Jude and then Fod in midfield. I think I'd rather see that than what I'm seeing right now. I don't know if that's actually the solution. I don't know what you do about Trippier at left back because he's looked like the entire left side of England. It looks atrocious and nothing is happening there. Saka's beating guys 1-on-1, but even then there hasn't been too much end product there. It just doesn't look that great. I get they've only gotten scored on once, but who have they really played? Like, what are we doing? It's not like they're playing a lot of potent attacks. This has because it's an easy lineup. This has England beat Slovakia and then maybe they beat Switzerland or Italy. I don't think that'll happen, but they had a semifinal and then Southgate somehow gets a World Cup out of it, So I honestly think based on the performance against Bolivia that like I'd prefer to have Berhalter over Southgate right now. That's the point I'm at with how shitty it's gotten. So at least Berhalter eventually put in Gio and has been making subs when he sees things going wrong. I mean, he still plays horrible football, but Southgate just seems oblivious.
Oblivious is right. And one other point before we leave this game, as the resident Arsenal fan, England, they play a lot for set pieces. They're deadly on set pieces a lot of the times, and they have good set piece takers. That being said, they have Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice, who come from the team that scored the most set piece goals in the Premiership this year. Neither of them have been on any set pieces, including corner kicks. Declan Rice is your corner kick taker. How do we feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, that one doesn't bother me as much, I guess. I think a lot of it is we have Nikola Jover at Arsenal, and he's a genius. I think a lot of the ways we score isn't from like great delivery as opposed to just really good set pieces, really good movement in the box or whatever. But yeah, I mean, shit, try anything. They've proven they can do it, so why not toss them out there? I will say Cole Palmer did look solid when he came on. He didn't really do anything, but he looked dangerous. I don't know. There's not many answers right now if you're Southgate. You got to try something.
Try something indeed. We'll move on. The next game is Romania and Netherlands. Another good matchup, sneaky matchup. Romania really great through qualifiers, but I don't think a lot of people gave him that much seriousness for how good of a team they can actually be. They scored a lot of goals defensively. They look very solid, and they're a big bruising team. They're hard to deal with their physicality. Netherlands, on the other hand, defensively solid, but have let in a bunch. They got kind of opened up rather by Austria, and some great tactics there. The substitutions, very interesting. The starting lineup, interesting at times. It's changed quite a bit throughout the tournament. What do you see in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Netherlands kind of destroyed. Was it 3-1 or 3-0 against Ukraine? I thought it might have been 3-0. But yeah, I mean, they look fine. Nicholas Sancho is like their standout guy. He definitely can have an impact on the game at any point. He's kind of the creative spark, and then, like you said, just a lot of really physical football players as well. So, I don't know if I give them too much of a chance. I will say, if Van Dijk plays how he played against Austria, I mean, there definitely is a chance because Mand was all over the place. Feels like he's been having a tough Euros, and I hope it's actually, part of me hopes it's the end of his illustrious eliteness level at the very top. But as a lover of center back play, I think that it's a little bit tough to watch him declining a little bit. Maybe it's just a bad tournament, some bad form, but he did not look great against Austria. And for a guy who I think a lot of people put right up there as the best in the world, it was pretty embarrassing, I think. So I think Netherlands just has too much talent. I love that Gakpo plays well for Netherlands and not for Liverpool. That's very funny. But I think at the end of the day, the Netherlands will have too much. They have more experience in bigger tournaments like this and more quality. So I think they'll get it done. But Romania has been a good story. You know, I think the Ukraine just looked so bad in that first game. And since then, a draw and a loss, they've been okay. So I think Netherlands puts an end to kind of the story and is going to move on here.
All right. We will not say any more about that game. Next one up, my favorite matchup of the round of 16, Austria versus Turkey. I like watching both of these teams a lot. I've watched both of them twice and then saw the highlights in the other games. Austria, absolutely cooking right now. Ralph Ragnick has these boys going. They play so dynamic. They're finding goals from everywhere. The midfield play is really good. And then on the other side, Turkey, they've switched the lineup damn near every game. You don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes they play without a forward. Sometimes they leave their young guys on the bench. But when those young guys come on, Arda Güler, Yildiz, I mean, they've got serious talent and serious interchange. Is talent enough to break down this really structured Austrian team, or are they just too much? Are they set up to play tournament football too well?
I mean, Austria looks like they play like 4 center backs the way they pack it in, and that Grilic guy on their team can, like, I think has really good technical ability while also still being really responsible defensively. Of course, it's Sabitzer, it's Leimer, it's Arnautovic who are carrying the load up front, I would say, and rightfully so. But yeah, they have a. I don't think anyone was really talking about Austria coming into this tournament, but they've looked very good. You said it. Ralph Ragnick has looked like he's been doing wonders with that team. Turkey, has also looked good. I think you enjoy their brand of football a little bit more. I'm definitely a big Arda Güler fan. Calling my shot now, definitely a future Arsenal player. But yeah, I think Austria will be able to get it done. I like Austria in this game.
All right. Nick likes Austria. I like goals in this match. I like them on both sides, but I think Austria does have enough to get through and maybe make a sneaky run all the way to the semifinals. We will see. Next one up, the hosts, Germany, who have been possibly the team of the tournament so far, playing against Denmark, who have held their own well, found some goals, found some really good play, dominated England, even though they only got a draw. probably could have won that match and should have won that match. Nick, thoughts on Germany? Are we going to see the same dip we saw in their third group stage match where they were really out of sync? Or are they going to be back towards what we saw the first couple of games?
I think we see a really strong Germany in this game. They were my favorites coming into the tournament. Obviously, it's on home soil. Uh, I don't know. I think that last game was really a result of Switzerland playing well, as opposed to like Germany playing poorly. I mean, they definitely didn't look great, but also, uh there was I not the idea, the thought already. They were the first team to qualify for the next stage
Yep.
right away. They knew it was in the bag, and even to get a draw, I think against a really good Switzerland team, I think shows that they were up for it. So, no rotation there, which was interesting. You might think that maybe you give the boys a little bit of a shine from the bench, but they still went for it, and I think that's a good mentality to have in a Euros tournament. So, I think they smell that this is their chance to get back to some real trophies. This is a major tournament. It's a major trophy to put in your cabinet. And I think they smell the opportunity is there. A lot of the favorites coming into the tournament haven't looked great. I think it's still fair to say, even after the Switzerland game, that they've looked the best. And being at home is a huge advantage. So I think the Danes have done well. They've been a good story. Ericsson scoring was really cool after, man came back to life. So that was a really cool storyline. But at the end of the day, I just don't think they have enough to compete against this German side. So I think Germany gets through here pretty easily.
Germany gets through. I'd have to agree with that. Germany, no rotation throughout the games. They've started the same 11 guys, all three of them. The one question I think in the lineup, give me your thoughts on this. Kai Havertz has been starting at the 9, looks pretty well, offers them a lot of interchange. He drops in the midfield. He's good on the ball, can dribble, can pass, do all of it. The other option is Niklas Füllkrug, more of a traditional 9, really good in the air, just a deadly box guy. He's come on and scored a few times. Do you see him in that same kind of role where he's going to come on maybe in the 60th minute and play more direct? Or do you think he can get into the starting lineup?
Yeah, I think that Nagelsmann really likes a lot of interchange in the front three specifically. Gundogan, more dropping into the midfield and getting forward, I think, with the interchanging part, but he definitely gets into the box. So, but the Wirtz, Musiala, Havertz, kind of all playing off of each other, I think has been the reason that they've been so successful. I'll say so. I would stick with Havertz. That might be a bit biased. I really like what I see from Fulkrug, and it's working. He's coming off the bench and scoring, so maybe keep the same recipe. I don't think anything's going to happen there. But if you do start Fulkrug, I think the rest of that German side will still feel pretty confident that they have a player that they can play with and can maybe put something in the back of the net.
Fair enough. We go on to probably the other favorites, the other standout team in the group stage, Spain, who have yet to concede a goal, went perfect through the group stage, and had a heavily rotated side in their third game. Don't believe they started any of the same players except for Laporte in the back, who are against the underdogs of the tournament so far, Georgia. Really inspired play, kind of an unknown team except for their main man, Kubica Kvaratskhelia, who had an outstanding performance against a Portugal rotated side today. Kind of looked dangerous every time he was on the ball. Got a goal in the second minute. Was living up to the Kvaradana name. Does Georgia have any chance in hell, or is it going to be Spain domination?
They have a chance. This have been kind of this is a team I'm circling as my Cinderella. And it sucks that they get Spain first, but they looked so good against Portugal, and I don't know. There's just something about Kiwi that he's got some magic in his feet. And I know that Napoli had a tough year, but I picture that guy at like a PSG tearing it up, or going to a Bayern and tearing it up. Like he's got that kind of pedigree to him. Spain doesn't play the most physical brand of football, and I feel like that's the best way to get after KV. So I think he'll be able to. I think he'll be able to have some joy when he gets the ball. The only thing is, I don't know how much possession Spain is going to be giving up against this Georgian side. And Lamine Yamal is magic. You know what I mean? So who knows? I think they have a chance, but Spain is definitely. I still think Germany's a favorite, but numbers don't lie. Spain hasn't lost. They've won all their games. They look really good. So Spain should get through here.
Spain should get through. One last shout out. I'm going to try to pronounce this guy's name. Georges Mikaudatsi. No chance that's correct, but I tried. 2 goals for Georgia in the group stage, currently tied for the Golden Boot race. Maybe he can work a little bit of magic. Get a third one here. I don't know. Not a lot of goals going in from the main guys that
7
you would
own
think.
goals.
Right? Own goals are winning the tournament Golden Boot race. It's up for grabs. Unless someone has a surge in the knockout rounds, really, who knows? Who knows going to end up with that award? Next matchup, France versus Belgium. 2 big boys. France, a little bit underperforming, I would say, through the group stage. Create a lot of chances, but haven't been overly clinical. Mbappe not firing like you think he would. He could have easily had 4 goals by this point. They're rotating a lot. They have a lot of attacking talent that can come in and out. The midfield, Conte absolutely performing. Rabiot starting there. We saw Griezmann kind of changed out in the third match. Wonder whether that's rotation or they want to try other guys. The back line's been pretty consistent. Belgium, on the other hand, got booed out of the stadium by their home or their own fans today. And then De Bruyne got booed again when he received the Man of the Match award. Was seen giving a team talk of sorts after the match, and they had to push the cameramen away because they didn't want that to be recorded, whatever was said there. Belgium seemed to be in shambles, which is nothing new for Belgium. They kind of seem to have that storyline around them every single tournament. France, you think the dogs will wake up, kind of find their form here in the knockouts and take care of business, or do you think Belgium has some sort of resurgence here?
Yeah, France has looked so disappointing. I was scared when Mbappe went down about their attacking options, but even him coming back didn't help too much. You'd think hopefully like he's getting used to the mask, maybe he gets back to like that gunman mentality, but they've looked poor. That being said, Belgium feels like Brazil at the moment. Like they have no identity. They don't really know what they're doing. My Trossard hat trick prediction is just in shambles. There's just there's just nothing going good for them. So yeah, I don't love either of these teams right now, but France is definitely more talented. And I don't know. At least that squad has done it before. You know, like they know what it means to win a big knockout round game. Belgium, what real pedigree do they have? So should be France. This could definitely be an upset, I think, just because Belgium has the talent. But honestly, I think I see Georgia upsetting Spain more than I see Belgium upsetting France. So it's just not great. Give me France all day on this one.
Yeah, give me France as well. I'm scared for Belgium in their midfield. I think they could get torched. They got some quality players, but Yuri Tielemans, Kevin De Bruyne, I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with the pace of some of these guys in the French midfield. They're going to be smothered, that's for sure. And Lukaku, who's been cursed all tournament, can he break his egg here? I kind of doubt it against this pairing of center backs. Rounding out the round of 16 fixtures with Portugal versus Slovenia. Slovenia sneak their way into the round of 16.
Yeah.
Good for them. Portugal with pretty much rotated side today. Ronaldo did start and Costa did start in goal, but the rest of the 11 were all new faces. Still a strong team. If you look at those players, all high pedigree, high caliber players, but they were kind of demolished by Georgia today. Portugal, they looked super good in their first 2 games. Looked like a team that can make a deep run. You think that performance today is going to hurt them at all? Or are they going to just be right back at it when they get those 11 guys back out there?
Yeah, it was a rotated side. I've got Portugal earmarked to beat whoever beats wins the game of France versus Belgium. There's been a lot of talk about Ronaldo. I still think he's looked good. So I'm not too worried about it. They're playing really well as a team. I'm not a big Bruno Fernandes guy, but he's looking very solid. Bernardo Silva kind of had an up and down, group stage, but did get on the score sheet. And obviously we know his talent. So I like this Portugal team to beat Slovenia. I think Slovenia is sneaky, pretty good team. I think this is one where if Portugal does look bad, Slovenia can easily beat them. I just don't think Portugal's going to look as bad as they did. So put the starters back in, get that normal 11 going again. And I think it's enough to get past Slovenia. But this is definitely one where if you're not on it, then they can catch you out.
I agree with you. I think the biggest thing for Portugal is that back line. I mean, we talk about the attacking talent all day, but Pepe, for my money, has looked like the best center back in the tournament so far, which is insane at that age. But
William Saliba.
William Saliba, sure.
Hold on.
But he's half his
No
age.
Van Dijk shouts? No Van Dijk shouts? No?
Van Dijk has looked awful, especially today. Oh my God, that last game was horrid. But Pepe, on the ball, his positioning, it's unreal what he's doing. And then Ruben Diaz next to him. Doesn't get much better than that.
Yes.
They're a very hard team to score against. The Ronaldo talk, it's always going to be there. It gets clicks, right? It's good for social media. I get that. But every time that dude does anything, shows any emotion, it's always, what's the story? What's the deep lying message here? Oh my God, he got subbed off and he's angry. What would you expect from Ronaldo or a striker or anybody who's losing a game and wants to score goals? Come on, guys. And I'm hearing talks that a little assist he had to Bruno Fernandes should be taught in all football academies all over the world. That was a quote from Roberto Martinez. Yeah, that's just called passing to your teammate when there's an open goal. If you play FIFA, you know about it. So, yeah, make a story out of anything. Why don't you? That's our Euro talk.
I will say, what's been up with Leao? He's done nothing. That dude's been absent.
And that's the story of Leao, right? I mean, season to season, game to game, he gets up for it when he wants to. He has been off the mark. I think he still should start because of what he can give you, but end product has been really, really poor. I mean, he's not finding final balls. He's not taking dudes off the dribble all really effective. So is there a shout for a Pedro Neto or João Felix at that left spot?
Yeah, bro, I love Pedro Neto. I mean, just because of the injury stuff, I'm probably pretty split on a deal for Arsenal, who've been rumored on him for a while, but he's electric when he's on there. The goalie, yeah, the 5'6" goalie that flags from his team. Speaking of flags, there is a certain co-host on this pod who called Leao world class at the start of this season. I'm not going to say names, but he may or may not be in Korea right now. So, good take.
I wonder who could have said that. My money, Christian Pulisic's got a closer claim to that than Leao at the moment. We will get to Pulisic in a second, but now we're hopping to our Copa review. Back to the best tournament this summer. A true football connoisseurs tournament. A lover of fouls, cheap play, bad turf, pitches that are too small, and empty stadiums. That is the Copa America for you. We'll start with Group A. Nick, you could take it away. We're seeing Canada, we're seeing Argentina, Peru, and Chile. What have you seen so far?
Before we jump into Group A, there's been a lot of shit talk about Copa America. I'm so annoyed with that. Like they keep talking about like, oh, they're like this isn't football. Like it's just more direct, and like the pitches are shit. Blame the United States of America for being morons, but I mean it's just a more direct style of play. Which, by the way, most recent world champion comes from South America. So like the most historic country in all of the history of football comes from South America. So it's not like I don't get this whole. Maybe it's just on Twitter, and we obviously follow a lot of Premier League guys and interact with those guys, but like there's a lot of European bias here, some European like almost like superiority complex. So I want to stand up for Copa. I think the games have been great. The Chile Peru game sucked. That one was horrible. Like no, can't say anything there. But outside of that game, I don't think they've been all too bad. I guess the Brazil one wasn't great either, but at least there was a fun storyline with Brazil. Yeah, I've enjoyed Copa every bit as much as I have Euros so far. And there's less teams in this, so we got to enjoy it while it's here. But anyways, moving on. That's just me getting on my horse for a little bit. But moving on to Group A, It's been Argentina. I think they're definitely the odds-on favorites to win this tournament. Part of that is because of the bracket, the side of the bracket they're on. Part of that is because of that man right there, Leo Messi, who still has magic in his boots, just dribbling by people at like 36, 37, like he always
Happy
has.
birthday, Messi.
Maybe happy birthday. Not the same pace, obviously, but every bit the same amount of quality. So, and that team rides for him, bro. That man is a god in that country, rightfully so, and every single player on that national team knows it, and they're all in for him all the time. It's so dope to see just a bunch of just fucking gangsters backing up the boy Leo Messi. So
Dude, it's full mafia.
they're definitely the favorites. They're 2 for 2. They're 6 points in, 6 points up, 6 points down. So they're definitely going to get out of this group. The real impressive thing, the real storyline for the next thing is then what happens in the other spot. Because right now it looks like Canada is going to be the favorite with 3 points, currently second with 1 match left to play. Shout out to Jesse Marsh, who, I mean, I get that Canada itself hasn't looked great. I don't think their national team is all that it's hyped up to be. I know they have some standouts with Davies and Jonathan David and a couple others, but they're playing a pretty good brand of football that's suiting them, and it got them a win today to get those really important 3 points. They're going to be the favorites to get out of the group coming in. They've already played Argentina, so they're not going to have to play them again. Chile hasn't looked great. They were stingy, but they haven't looked really threatening. So I think they have a real chance of getting out of this group. And before this, I put them as 4th in this group. I did not think they had any shot at all, especially with only just getting Jesse Marsh. So I'm really impressed with what I've seen from them. I'm really impressed with like the kind of self-awareness to their football, playing lower, playing on the counter, playing fast, playing direct. So I've been impressed with Canada, and honestly, I hope they get through, get some CONCACAF respect in the group.
By the way, Canada's kits, fucking god awful.
Yeah, they do suck.
Putting
Horrible.
that out there. Also,
They're so broke though.
yeah, dude. But fucking Peru's, these are money, dude. They're so cool.
Phenomenal.
I don't know about
that. I like Bruce kits a lot. Shout out Jacob Schaffelberg, pictured right there, number 14 from Nashville. He having a great tournament so far.
Yeah.
Subbed on for him. Kind of reminds me of Brendan Aronson a little bit with his work rate and just super direct play down the wings. But with Canada's style of play, super effective. When they go direct, he's always open, never stops running, and has been involved in a lot of their attacks so far. They're a fun team to watch. Jesse Marsh pulling up in the shorts last game. That's a statement look.
Legend.
It's hot out there. Most managers won't go for it, but hey, the polo shorts combo is undefeated. Peru, Chile, both look impotent up top. I mean, Paulo Guerrero, legend, but dude has no service and can't do it at his own at this age. I'll move on to Group B, which is actually currently underway. Mexico and Venezuela are playing right now. Ecuador,
big game too.
Jamaica. It is a big game. This group's kind of wide open for those 2 spots. Ecuador outclassed Jamaica today pretty comfortably. Jamaica had a shot for a penalty. I thought it could have been a handball. I think they would be a little aggrieved by that. But Ecuador just has some talent. Kendry Paez in the midfield, the 17-year-old playing the 10. Dude is a serious talent. Not sure where he's going to move, but it'll be a big team when he does make that move outside of Ecuador.
I think they already bought it. Chelsea already bought him, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I did not know that.
Like
was
last
confirmed.
year.
That's a shame. You should try to retract that contract. I'm sure the money's good, but for your sake, please go somewhere else. Other guys, Jeremy Sarmiento, Brighton boy on the wings. A lot of talent in that team without their main striker, Ana Valencia, who did get a crazy red card in the first match. I think will be suspended the rest of the group stage at the very least. This game's 0-0 right now. I don't know how to pick it. I mean, it seems safe to say that Jamaica's done. They are done. They're pretty much eliminated.
No, they're out.
They are to go. Sure. They need one of these teams to win the game, and then they would have to get a result.
Their goal difference is so bad.
Yeah, like they're in shambles. Nick, do you think any of these teams can make some noise outside of the group stage, or are they kind of capped?
No, they can't. I think this has been a fun group to watch, but I don't have a lot of faith in any of these teams. I was really hoping. I was hoping to get. Honestly, I know I'm a American, but I was hoping to get some Mexico magic in this Copa America just to make this group a little bit more interesting. And they always seem to play well in tournaments, at least above their weight class. It might just be that the roster is so bad. They did get the win, and I was hoping if they get the win here, they could carry some of that momentum. Right now, I haven't seen a second of this game, obviously, but with it still being 0-0 in the second half, I doubt it's been a great one. So I don't know. I know Venezuela's not that great. Mexico, we've seen them. We've handled them, honestly, a lot. So I don't think anything can come from this. It just seems to be a pretty even line. The only team that I really thought could do something was Ecuador, and then that red card really screwed them. So I'm hoping Ecuador can get out because I think, but then they'll still have Argentina. I don't know. It's a tough one for me. I don't think so. I am pulling for Ecuador for sure, though. Even though he's at Chelsea, I'm a big Moises Caicedo fan, and Sarmiento too. I like that guy.
Point for Ecuador. Yeah, Mexico, without their main man, Alvarez, injured in that first game, unlikely to come back. It seems inevitable they will get Argentina if they are able to get out of this group. They'll finish second. They always match up with Argentina in the knockout stages, and very rarely does it go their way. We'll move on to Group C, my favorite group, the American group. Americans and the Uruguayans taking care of business so far, tied on goal differential. USA handled Bolivia, and Uruguay did the same with Panama. Even with Darwin Núñez missing, finally got his goal. Luis Suarez looked absolutely aggravated on the sidelines. Probably thought he should have subbed in. Probably could have scored a few of those chances, even with his reduced mobility. Nick, what do you see
run anymore,
here?
bro?
He cannot run anymore, but damn, if he gets the ball in the box, he is still lethal. I was impressed watching both of these teams. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about USA Panama here in a second as we wrap up the pod. But Uruguay, I thought, didn't look as good as they have been looking in CONCACAF. I know it ended 3-1. There was a lot of late goals scored in this game. It was a little bit weird. But I don't really have too much respect for Panama. At least I didn't going into this. I thought they were giving them a game for a while. So I was impressed by that and not as impressed by Uruguay. But they're still the favorites for sure. Bolivia's so bad. It's like so bad. I fully expect Uruguay to put honestly 4 past them. It's going to be a lot of goals unless Darwizzi's on his Darwizzi shit. So I don't know. I still see Uruguay, but I think it's there for the taking. And we're going to talk a lot, obviously, about USA and getting to the next round, which again should be the absolute minimum of this tournament and the real expectation. The more I think about it, the more I think that winning this group is super important for the United States, just for the pure mentality of having to come up either against a Brazil or against a Colombia. Colombia with the form they're in, Brazil with just their talent and their aura. I think winning the group gives our camp a lot of belief that they can do something. I don't know if it'll ultimately matter, but I definitely don't see a second place USA advancing past the quarterfinals. I do think maybe a first place USA has a better chance. So I'm really, really looking forward to this game against Panama tomorrow. I think it's a must win. And then this Uruguay game, which the boys will be attending on Monday, is going to be huge. So excited for that. But overall, the group is breaking down how we thought it would. It does look like it's going to be USA and Uruguay.
USA Uruguay game vlog inbound.
Yes.
3 out of the 4 boys, including producer P, will be at that match in Kansas City on Monday, July 1st.
I'm going to wear a bag over my head the whole time.
I think your points about USA needing to win the group for the belief, for the mentality, and possibly for the matchup against Brazil, that's a very valid point. I agree with it 100%. I think either way, whoever we match up, whether that's Colombia or Brazil, we will have something to fight for, whether that's revenge or the knowledge that we think we can really beat this team, if that's being Brazil. Panama. This is going to be a test. They know who we are. We play Panama all the time. We match up well. We usually have their number, but we shouldn't take it for granted. I think we need to be better than we were against Bolivia. More clinical in the attack. Definitely sharper in the back line. The center backs need to show up and be fully engaged, and at the very least, treat it as a game warm-up. I don't want to say it's a warm-up, but getting ready for Uruguay, right? And Panama has enough that they can hit us on the counter. We can get opened up by them. I don't want to run with them. Shout out Michael Murillo for that goal against Uruguay, goal of the tournament, in my eyes, at the very least, so far. We'll move on to Group
Really
D.
quickly, Trace. Venezuela scored. Rondon on a pen.
Solomon Rondon. Shout out the ex-Everton man. We only have good strikers in our ranks, and Rondon was one of the best. JK.
Flags immediately texted about Mexico's downfall. This man is a racist.
Number one hater. It's not racism. We just own them. Moving on to Group D, Nick's team, the Colombianos. Brazil. That is really the test. Who's going to finish out on top? They have yet to play each other. Costa Rica, with a little bit of magic against the Brasileiros, getting out a 0-0 draw. Didn't look overly threatening attack, but were able to shut down what Brazil was throwing on them, really pack into the box. And yeah, there were some chances. Yeah, they had some good saves, but earned that point and definitely deserved it. Paraguay, the other side, aside from a Leo Enciso goal, looked kind of poor against Colombia. Nick, am I being too harsh on Paraguay? Did you see more out of them? Is there some more upset potential in this group out of those two teams, or is it going to be a pretty standard 1-2 finish with the big boys?
Dude, I thought Paraguay looked really good against Colombia. I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were I think Julio Enciso looked really good against Colombia. He obviously got their goal, but he was dangerous every time he got the ball. And I don't think Colombia was at their best. I think we were the deserved winners, but I thought we've looked better in the past, definitely in the friendlies and definitely in the qualifying. But again, Paraguay kind of plays a brand of football that would frustrate us. They're very physical, very strong, very fast, and always looking to. They also play with a ton of energy. So I think it's almost like similar styles that just clash against each other, and the better team won. But yeah, I like Paraguay, and I like them to get a draw in this next game, if I'm being honest. I think Brazil is going to be in real trouble. That would be the dream, right? Paraguay then beats Costa Rica. Brazil loses to Colombia. Now, if USA gets that win, you get a Paraguay instead. I don't see Costa Rica coming away with points against Paraguay. I definitely don't see them coming away with points against Colombia. So I know they got the draw versus Brazil. I didn't think they looked that great doing it. So they just really packed it in. They're not going to try to pack in against Paraguay. They know that they have to win that game, and I think Paraguay is better. So as for Los Cafeteros, James still got magic in that left foot. He absolute two just pinpoint crosses to get us our 2 goals. He could have scored earlier. Went for the pass later in the game. And really should have been 3-1 and not as close as the scoreline made it seem. We were definitely the better team. We definitely got tired. Matias Uribe, who was kind of carrying a knock, didn't start in the midfield, but I was really encouraged. One of my key points for this tournament was how's Richard Rios going to play, and I thought he looked really electric. At times a bit selfish, but he's got the talent to do so. So I'm hoping he doesn't start again, at least against Brazil. I like Uribe and Lerma as our midfield, but it did give me confidence seeing him step in pretty well. And aside from that, I thought the boys looked pretty good. Hopefully Lukumi looks better. He got injured. Yerimina came on and played fine. But Lukumi has been our best center back, even over Davidson. So hopefully he comes back healthy. And yeah, the boys looked good. Shout out to Cordoba as well. He came on late as a sub for Bode. He looked really strong. We have a lot of options at the 9. I don't think we can really go wrong. There's not like one clear-cut guy, but I think all of them can do a job. So Good 3 points for the boys. We're going to keep going against Costa Rica. I expect another 3 points. And with Brazil dropping points so early, I think we're going to kind of cruise to first in this group.
Shout out Yeri Mina, another Everton legend. We love those South Americans. They always play so well for us. One last point before we leave this group. A couple of quiet games from some star wingers here. Luis Diaz on Colombia and Miguel Almiron on Paraguay, who was subbed relatively early in the match because he wasn't offering what the coach was looking for. Looked kind of quiet, off the mark. And if you're looking at this Paraguayan team, not a lot of star talent, I would say, or big name players coming out of Europe. Miguel Almiron and Ciso are really the two. What would you see out of these guys in the rest of the group stage? Do you think they'll step up and do a little bit more hard labor for their teams?
And Ciso's a baller, and he played really well against Colombia. I think he was easily their best player. And everything kind of runs through him. You can see it. Almiron looked horrible, washed. Like, he did not look good. That touch was atrocious, and it was the right call to sub him off because he was not playing well. He was still working hard, credit to him, but not his game. Yeah, Luis Diaz did a lot of like nice dribbles. Had possession well, but thought he would try to be a bit more direct. Didn't end up working out that way. He was getting double, triple teamed at time basically every time he got the ball, which is the right call because he's just such a baller for Colombia. He's even better for Colombia than he is for Liverpool. And so he was definitely like the main focus, but then, James kind of got to feast. He got the ball in some dangerous areas as well, especially on that left wing for the first goal. So yeah, I don't know. I think Diaz was fine. I think he'll continue to prove that he's the main man currently for Colombia. Thinking Ciso's good. Almiron's a problem for Paraguay, that's for sure.
Almiron is the problem. Look for the Newcastle lad to have a resurgence in the second game because, Lord, he needs it, and so do they if they're going to make any sort of mark here. We're going to move away. We're going to do our last segment here, which is the USMNT Corner. Shout out Jared Flaggett. Shout out Jurgen Klinsmann. Shout out all our South Korean expatriates. USA versus Panama. Has to be 3 points. We've said this. We need the win. We need to keep the pressure on the Uruguayans and really have everything to play for in that final match to win the group, set ourselves up with a good matchup in knockouts, have all the momentum. Super important. This team needs it. They really do. And they thrive on momentum. What do you need to see here, Nick? Any lineup changes, tactical adjustments, performances out of key players, you name it?
Yeah, I think yes to all the above. The biggest one I think is keep the same. Let's not go back to just crossing the ball in for nothing, please. We really opened up the gameplay, I thought, against Bolivia, against a bad Bolivian team, but still. The biggest thing I need to see is an elimination of the individual errors at the back, because that's going to be the main thing I'm watching for. I think I know Gio didn't play great, but he put in his shift and he still has magic that he can produce at any moment. I'm not worried about Pulisic. That man has evolved into a consistent threat, a real leader, game in, game out. He's going to be your best player. I think that it's been really impressive to see the progression of his career, especially for the United States national team. I think Flo's kind of the same player every game. If Tyler's starting again, I'm definitely not worried about him. Hopefully Weston continues on the same trajectory. Maybe, keep an eye on him. But for me, it really is going to come down to that back line and specifically the two center backs. Are you going to fuck us? Is that are you going to screw us over because Bolivia could not take advantage of those opportunities? I think Panama can. I don't know for sure that they will, but I think they can. And so there just can't be any of those individual errors that are glaring and stupid and unnecessary. And maybe you got relaxed against the poor Bolivia side, but I mean, you're definitely the favorites in this game, and I just can't have any of this, we're going to beat them mentality, so let's try stupid shit. That's the main thing I'm looking for. I need Timmy, I need Chris Richards to be on it, and just please, for the love of God, no individual mistakes in our own half.
Clean it up in the back. That is a good sentiment from a few center backs, ex-center backs, Nico and I. 2 points I want to leave with here. The center backs, I think it is the biggest area that we need to be really clean at, see strong play. Is it premature to make a change coming off of a clean sheet, and still a solid performance, even if there were a few shaky moments, would you still keep those two guys, or would you make a change?
I know he's gonna keep him. Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
know
for
he's
sure. Yeah,
going to.
not change it.
And I would say sub Timmy, but he did open up the left hand side a couple times with some pretty good passes. It's just the simple stuff that he looked shaky on, which was so strange from a guy that really he's kind of lauded, right, as like this cerebral who can still move pretty well kind of guy. So it's been strange from him. I honestly don't think I'd make a sub either. You kind of got to ride with the boys. There's obviously decent options on the bench at center back. With Cameron Carter Vickers, who has enjoyed a pretty good career for himself at Celtic. So you could. I know he's not going to. I'm not even sure if I would. You got to trust the boys at this point, but at a certain point, that trust has to be repaid. You know what I mean?
Yep. Trust the starters, and hopefully they don't burn you. I do need to see that trust repaid. I think the point about Tim Reams passing contributions that's very valid. He is the best passing center back on the roster when he's playing well. It could also be his downfall, which we've seen the last couple of games. The only other area I'm interested in, I think the rest of the team will kind of sort of itself out, is the Yunus Musa dilemma. We've seen him subbed in kind of at the 6 area, more defensive, deep-lying midfielder who progresses the ball a lot. He's been very good. I thought his cameo against Bolivia, more than a cameo, a full 45, was super impressive. I thought he was a standout player. Is there room for him in this midfield, or is coming off the bench still the best bet for this team?
There's definitely room for him, but you're at your best with Tyler Adams at the 6 and with McKennie at the 8 when McKennie is McKennie. I think Wes is starting to like round back into form, so I think you ride with him. If you want to make the sub of him for Gio for the Uruguay game, I am all for that. I think that would be a really good call. But I think you're still going to need some of that ingenuity, that individualism that Gio can pull out against the Panama. I think you might need it early because I do think Panama is going to be more of a counter kind of team, direct, but still a countering kind of team, especially with how they usually play us. So I would keep it as is, but you know me, I love me some Eunice, and if I see him in the starting lineup, there will be no tears shed. I'll be very happy.
No qualms about Eunice unless you're Jared Flaggett. Don't touch Gio. Don't touch his starting spot. That boy.
That's the guy to sub him for, though. I think if you are going to put in Eunice, you have to take Gio out. I wouldn't touch the other two right now.
Okay. I think that's a good point. We might see that in the Uruguay game. I think playing to the opponent's a big thing that we haven't seen from Greg yet and that we need to. We'll leave you at that. Thank you for joining us here. A lot of Euro talk, Copa talk, 2 great competitions. Summer full of football. I'm loving it personally. I'm sure you guys are. Sound off in the comments. What are you looking for in the round of 16 matchups for the Euros? What have you seen so far in the Copa America? Any gripes, teams that you're looking at, star players? Let us know. Check us out on all socials. Like, subscribe, share. Tell your mother. Tell your father.
Tell your mother.
Shout out Christian Pulisic.